Welcome to the Week 13 edition of the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show. I'm Brad Armstrong. This will be deemed the Blair Witch Project edition of the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show, as I am holding the camera doing this by myself. Mr. Brian Perrano is out of town this week, celebrating Thanksgiving with his family. This will be a special edition of the Keeper League Preview Show because it's the last week of the regular season for fantasy football in the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show. We will take a look at all the projected playoff matchups as well as some consolation bracket matchups. We also want to make sure that you understand how the consolation bracket works, because the winner of the consolation bracket will be the recipient of the first overall pick of the 2009 draft, which is obviously very important. So we want to make sure that we tackle all of those things this week in the Week 13 edition of the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show. We obviously know who the 6 teams are that are going to make the playoffs this year in the Big Gun Keeper League, but what we don't know exactly is what spot everybody will be in. We'll take a look at what possible matchups we see. The first matchup is the Ass Whipping Click at 7-5 against the Bourbon Boys at 2-10. The Yahoo experts have, which obviously Ass Whipping Click says not to listen to the Yahoo experts, but I don't see any reason not to in this case. 191 to 153 is the projected matchup. I see the Yahoo experts being correct in this one. I'll take the Ass Whipping Click to move to 8-5. Our next matchup is Wansback at 5-7 against 7-5 Capital Punishment. Wansback is not in the playoffs, but is trying to set himself up for a good consolation bracket run, trying to earn that first pick in the 09 draft. This may not seem like a big deal, but I can assure you it can turn your season around for next year. At 7-5, Capital Punishment doesn't look like a real playoff contender. He's only a projected winner by 1 point, but I can bet you this: he will be getting his team ready. I know he works like heck and watches a lot of film. And as it says right here, Michael Turner! Whenever you have Michael Turner, you have a shot. Now, I know he may have been upset with his team in Week 12, but Week 13 brings new hope. And Capital Punishment looks to capitalize on that hope and carry the momentum into the playoffs. But in the end, I'm taking Wansback to move to 6-7. Capital Punishment will still make the playoffs, but on a slide. 7-6 will get you in, but that may be all it gets for the Capital Punishment. But good luck anyway, guys, as the final week of the regular season ends this week. Our next matchup in the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show for Week 13 is the Kamikaze Dynasty, who is currently one of the top 6 teams in the league, which will have already clinched a playoff spot, against the Po Boys, who are 3-9. But remember, the Po Boys do have something to play for as they try to get that first overall pick in 2009. Yahoo has this projected as a 200 to 172 victory for the Kamikaze Dynasty, and I really don't see any reason why the Kamikaze Dynasty will lose this one. Although, if the Po Boys do get Brandon Jacobs back, they might get an added push. They already have Marion Barber against a terrible Seahawks team, but I just don't see the Po Boys having enough gas to take over the Kamikaze Dynasty. And so the Po Boys will drop to 3-10 as Kamikaze Dynasty moves to 8-5. This may be the biggest blowout projection that I've seen all year in the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show. We have the 8-4 D-Boys against the 4-8 Ala Flow Boys. And as much as their records are opposite, so are the projected scores. The D-Boys are projected at 205, which is a lot to project. The Ala Flow Boys only at 128. Yahoo gets this one right again. The D-Boys move to 9-4. Key matchup, though, because the D-Boys are trying to get a bye, and they could very well clinch a bye with a win here. Our last matchup is the 9-3 Tuscaloosa Vols against the 8-4 T-Town Keeper. The Tuscaloosa Vols can not only clinch a first-round bye, but the number 1 overall seed if they pull off a win here. It will be no easy task, though. The T-Town Keeper is 8-4, and they are also looking for a bye. They will need some help. But if the D-Boys lose and the Keeper wins, the Keeper will move into that number 2 spot and a first-round bye. Obviously, here at the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show, we have unlimited funds. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands how the first pick of the 09 draft is earned. If you'll notice here, the 7th and the 10th seeds will play each other in the first round of the consolation bracket. The 8th and the 9th seeds will play each other. The 2 winners will then play for the championship of the consolation bracket. And that may seem like no big deal, but remember, the winner of that matchup gets the first pick of the 09 draft. The loser gets the second pick. The 2 losers of the semifinals of the consolation bracket will play for a for a ninth place game. Now, remember, that doesn't seem like a lot, but the winner gets the third pick, and that's the bracket at the bottom. The loser of the ninth place game, which essentially will be the 10th place team, gets the fourth pick. So if you're in the consolation bracket, the worst you can do is 10th. But remember, you still have something to play for, so it's very important that you bring your A game every week. We'll take a look at this next week in the Week 14 show. But remember, if you are one of the 4 teams that has not qualified for the championship bracket, it is essential that you give it your all for the remainder of the playoffs, because you do have a lot to play for. You can turn your season around for 09 based on your 08 performance. Obviously, here with our unlimited budget here at the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show, we wanted to make sure that you understand what you're playing for. Not only do you have a chance at money, but if you're the league champion, you will be the last pick of the 09 draft. Again, the last pick. If you're the league runner-up, you will earn the 9th pick in the 09 draft. Moving on down to the third place game, if you are the third place winner, you will receive the 7th place draft pick. If you're the loser of the third place game, you'll be the 8th pick in the 09 draft. And in the 5th place game, if you are the winner of the 5th place game, you will get the 5th overall pick in the 09 draft. And if you are the loser of the 5th place game, you will get the 6th overall pick in the 09 draft. Well, that just about does it for the Week 13 edition of the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show. Just wanted to make sure that you understood some things. Hopefully you do. It's more clear now. If you do have any questions, please email us. If you have any comments, don't forget to send those our way. For Brian Pirano, who, remember, is celebrating Thanksgiving, and for me, Brad Armstrong, we hope you enjoy your fantasy weekend that stretches all the way from Thursday. Remember, there are 3 games Thursday that stretches all the way to Monday night. Good luck as the playoffs approach, and we'll see you next week for the Week 14 edition. Please don't forget to read the fantasy newsletter, which is action-packed and full of quality entertainment. And thank you for producing that as well. Again, thanks for watching the Big Gun Keeper League Preview Show.